Kia ora koutou. Ko Angela Caves tōku ingoa. Welcome this afternoon to the Business Growth and Support Virtual Conference. My name is Angela Caves and I will be hosting you this afternoon alongside Anne Ginty from Connected. I'm the Digital Events Manager with Digital Boost, and I'd like to welcome you to the Business Growth and Support Virtual Conference for the Nelson, Tasman, Marlborough and West Coast regions. This is day 3 and we're up to session 2 of our third and final day of the conference. So thank you for taking the time out of your day to join us, and we'd just really like to apologise. We've had technical difficulties this afternoon, so thank you so much for your patience. Welcome to those who have joined us on a live stream via Facebook, LinkedIn or YouTube this afternoon. It's lovely to have you here as well. All sessions of the conference are being recorded and will be uploaded to a YouTube playlist. That playlist will be available for post-event viewing. This link for that playlist will be distributed to all registered attendees. I'd now like to introduce Anne from Connected, our collaborating partner organisation, to run through how the webinar is going to work, and then we will introduce our guest from the Inland Revenue. Thanks so much, Anne.
Kia ora koutou. Welcome to Digital Boost Business Sessions. Nice to have you along. I'm Anne Ginty and I'm the Employment Liaison Advisor for the Connected service. Today we've got our guest speaker Daryl Matiti from IR, and we'll introduce Daryl and take questions at the end of his korero. So Daryl, I'll now hand over to you. Thank you.
Thanks, Anne. I'm hoping you can hear me okay and see me okay.
Aye.
Thank you. And yes, apologies for those technical difficulties, everyone. It was something at my end, so we've got there eventually. My name, as Anne mentioned, is Daryl Matiti. I've been at Inland Revenue since the mid-90s, so quite a long time. And for the past 21, 22 years, I've been in the community compliance team here. So a big part of our role is education. And some of that education is in meeting with business owners one-to-one and going through information to help them to understand what they need to do to be in business and connecting with IRD. And also some of the other stuff we do is around presentations to groups. And so that's where I fit in this and the team I'm in. We have staff in 17 different locations around New Zealand, close to 250, 260 staff in my role as Community Compliance Officer. And so today we're just going to go through a bit of information that we hope you'll find useful around the sort of services that we provide and the resources that are there. So that's kind of the purpose of what I'm going to share this afternoon. And yes, happy to take some questions at the end. So if there's something that you want clarification on, then please put it into the chat. All right, in terms of the topics, so I'll talk a little bit about the workshops and the webinars that we are currently offering. I'll also talk about our one-to-one service, our business advisory service. A lot of the support that we're doing at the moment is online. It is virtual just because of some of the restrictions that we have. But we'll talk a little bit about the service we have there. I'll cover some information regarding MyIR. So it may be that a lot of you have a MyIR account. I do find most people do these days. So we'll talk a little bit about the services and functions that are in there and those that are useful for when people who are in business. And we'll talk a little bit about the resources towards the end as well. So things like our website, and you may be aware we have a YouTube channel as well. So I'll just cover some information around that. Thanks, Ange. In terms of workshops and webinars, so these are free sessions that we run for the community. We cover 4 main topics. There's 4 main sessions that we offer. The income tax one there is the most popular. And so in that session, we'll go through information around how do I calculate tax? How do I file my return with IRD? What sort of expenses can I claim? We go through all of that information. These workshops, they normally run for between an hour and a half and 2 hours. We cover one on GST as well, and really useful for those people who have just registered, or perhaps you've had an accountant that's done your GST for you in the past, and now you want to know a bit more about how you do it for yourself. So we go through some useful information there around GST. We also offer a workshop for employers. So this one, we don't have as many people that join this employer session. But yeah, if you are looking at employing staff or have recently employed staff, we'll cover information around how do you calculate your PAYE, how do I file my returns with Inland Revenue, when are payments due, KiwiSaver, that sort of information as well. And the last one we have there is for residential rental property owners. So we have in the last sort of 3 or 4 years had a bit more of a focus on residential rental property owners. And so as part of that, we've decided we need to perhaps provide these workshops for those landlords to let them know the ins and outs in terms of tax. So we offer those are our 4 topics. We do have the details for the dates and the times on our website, and that's primarily the place to go to if you want to attend. So if you go to our website, there's a link there under news and events that we'll show you shortly, and you can send through a request to attend one of those. Most of them are run at 10 a.m. and at this stage, there's something on every week. So income tax ones every couple of weeks, and the others probably once every 3 or 4 weeks. The other type of online sessions that we do offer are this income tax webinar. So as I mentioned, the seminars, workshops go for an hour and a half to 2 hours. The webinars are shorter. So these go for an hour only. And the way these work, we have about a 30-minute recording of income tax information that we play through. And then we have a half-hour Q&A session where people can ask their questions, and we'll try and answer those as we go. So these are shorter. These are run in the evenings at 7 p.m. and currently fortnightly. So people are joining these from all around the country. And again, the best place to register is to go to our website. And if you click on news and events, actually, Ange, if you could go to the next slide, I think that has the details for us. So yes, if you go to just about any page on our website, then at the top, you'll see there's a link called news and events. And if you select that, you want to then select the seminars option. And once you do the seminars option, it takes you through the page, which has all of the dates, all of the times, the different subjects, and you find the one that you would like to attend, click on that specific link and send your information through. And so we find they are really popular. We had an income tax one earlier this week, and yeah, I think there are 110 or so people that registered. Not everyone turns up on the night, but yeah, they are really popular. So if you're wanting a kind of a general overview of your income tax or GST obligations, then that's a really good starting point. And as I said, you are able to ask questions, and we try and answer those as we work our way through. So yeah, definitely recommend those. So that was our kind of, we call it our one-to-many service. We also have a one-to-one service, which is our advisories. So if you're in business and you're just starting out, you're not sure what sort of records should I keep, what expenses can I claim? You know, I'm running my business from home and I'm just wondering, can I claim some costs relating to that? Then yeah, you can actually request an advisory. And what we'll do is organise a time at this stage to talk with you over the phone or perhaps on Teams and go through the specific questions that you might have. The service is free, there's no cost for that. And we do try and organise a time that suits you and us. Some of our staff work a little bit later in the early evening, some start a bit earlier. So we'll try and organise a time that suits you and us. The best way, I think, to request the service is again through the website. So if you go onto our website and you search advisory, as it says in the slide there, then that'll bring up a link around how you can request someone to contact you and organise a time. You can also give us a call. I think the reality is our phones are very busy. Probably you know that out there. So there may be quite a big wait. Or you can also send us a message through MyIR if you like. But as with the phones, our web messages are, we've certainly got a large volume of those at the moment. So it is taking us a good 3 or 4 weeks to get to those. As I say, the best way really would be go to the website, search advisory, and on that link, send your details through and someone will be in contact. And yes, talking about MyIR, so I would say 9 out of 10 people that I'm talking with, meeting with, they have a MyIR account. The functions in there have improved a lot over the last 5, 6, 7 years. So we do recommend, especially if you're in business, it's worthwhile setting up a MyIR account. What you can do is if you have a change of address or need your bank account details, updated phone number, you can do that with MyIR without having to call us. When it comes to the end of the tax year, if you're in business and needing to file a return, you can do your income tax return there. If you're registered for GST or an employer, you can file your employer GST returns in there. The good thing about doing that is that you know in real time in that moment that Inland Revenue has your return. It hasn't gone missing. It has been received because we give you that instant feedback. So really useful for filing your returns. Also, if you are needing to look at a new entitlement or a new tax, then you can register through MyIR. So if you're going to start employing, you can do that there without having to fill out a form or give us a call. If you're looking at applying for working for families as well, then again, that's something else you can do at MyIR without having to mail anything through to us. So really good for that. And occasionally I meet with people who haven't been able to pay what they owe before the due date. And so another really useful function is what we call an instalment arrangement. So it might be that you can pay some of the money towards the amount you owe by the due date, but you can't actually meet the full obligation. And so then what you can do is you can apply for a payment plan through MyIR without having to call us or come into the office and talk with anyone. And so it means as long as it meets certain criteria, then it can be accepted right then and there. You can set up the plan through MyIR and yeah, everything is done without having to necessarily talk with somebody here or to get on the phone, etc. So if for some reason you can't pay an amount owing by the due date, that's a really good option in MyIR. And sometimes people have questions that they want to have a written answer for, or they don't want to wait on the phone. Then yes, you can send us those questions by web message. We normally have a time frame of about 3 weeks to answer those. From what I'm seeing, I think we're at about a 4-week turnaround time at the moment. It's taking a little bit longer for most of those. And one of the factors around the delay has actually been some of the COVID-related work we've been doing. So that gave us a big spike in the tasks we had on hand. It did mean that everything kind of, the timeframes, turnaround times got delayed because we had a lot of the other work to do. But yeah, well worth sending a web message in MyIR if there's something you'd like an answer to. Now, if you are not yet registered, then this is the link to go to. So on our webpage, you can see up the top right, in most pages, there's a register link. So you can click on there. The sort of information that you will need is you'll need the IRD number, either for your personal one, if you're a sole trader. If you set up a company or a partnership, then you'll need that IRD number. And you'll also need to be linked to the company or partnership on the Inland Revenue System first as well. And so IRD number, a valid email address, and your mobile phone number. So those details will help us verify that the person setting up the account is the authorised person, is the person that's able to do that. Thanks, Ange. Yeah, we do have quite a few people who have companies that want to set up MyIR accounts. As I mentioned, you will need to be listed as a director on the Inland Revenue System to be able to set up an account for a company that you're in. And also, once you've got that first link established, if you have a personal MyIR, you can link that to the business as well. So you might have your personal MyIR login and be able to use that for your personal taxes as well as for the company or trust, etc. They can be joined together. So yes, that's MyIR. In terms of resources, so our website is a good place to go. It is big. There is a lot of information in there. We have information that covers, as I've mentioned, income tax, GST, employer-related information. There are also quite a few guides. I think one of the really good ones, if you're starting out in business, is our Smart Business Guide. So it's an IR 320, an IR 320. It has a really good general overview of how tax is calculated, when returns are due, how your expenses are calculated, records to keep. So well worth having a look at that guide for people starting out in business. And in terms of calculators and tools, so one of the really good ones, I think, is our depreciation calculator. We go into a bit of this information in our workshops, but there are some expenses where you don't claim the cost, you actually claim a percentage of the cost. And so that means you're looking at getting into depreciation. And so on our website, we have a calculator which helps you work out what's the rate for this asset, what are all the other details, the cost, etc. And at the end of the calculator, you'll actually get a printout that you can save onto your device, and it gives you all your calculations for that item for the next however many years that you need it. So yeah, the depreciation calculator is really handy, as well as our annual income tax calculator. So if you wanted to have an idea of if I made a profit of $32,000, how much tax would I have to pay? Then that tax calculator will be quite useful for you as well. But yeah, quite a few different tools and calculators there, so well worth having a look. And looking at some of the other resources we have, not a lot of people are aware that we do have a YouTube channel, and there's actually some very good videos in there. Most of them are between sort of 3 and 8 minutes, reasonably short, but there's information there around, okay, what's the difference between a partnership and a sole trader? Or if I set up a company, how does that work for things like fringe benefit tax or my end of year return? So yeah, information around business basics, expenses, and also there's one that's been especially developed for real estate salespeople. So I mentioned earlier, we'd been working closer in the residential rental industry. We'd also picked up that we might need to provide a bit more information to real estate salespeople. And so there are a couple of videos that we made for that too. So yes, well worth having a look there on the YouTube channel as well. And if you search Inland Revenue New Zealand, you'll find us there. That'll come up. And I think that might be it. Is that correct, Ange? I don't think there's another slide there.
No, that looks like that's it. So we might just see if Anne can join us for any questions.
Yes, kia ora, thank you, Daryl. That was really informative. And, I've had a look at the IR website myself and found it really easy to use and, easy to work your way around. So great to have further information about that. And I must say, I've had 2 teenage grandsons that have both had to set up my IR accounts, and it's been quite a good process. So thanks very much, Daryl. I do have a couple of questions here. When someone is looking at setting up a small business, would you recommend registering as a company, a partnership, or just register GST only?
Yep, good question. So probably what I would suggest is that you go to the business.gov.nz site, and on there they have a sort of a basic, I guess it's a decision tree, a tool that will help you work out what might be a good choice for you. So on the Inland Revenue side, we're quite wary to not give business advice, and so we generally don't say choose this option or another. But on the business.gov.nz site, they have got this tool which will help people work out what might be a good option for them. It is an important decision because if someone chooses to be a company, then it can be quite involved to then run as a sole trader rather than a company. And so, yeah, I do think it's worthwhile people doing their research. Talking to a professional is probably a good idea as well. Admittedly, it might cost you a couple of $100 to do that, but it can save quite a headache down the track if you avoid making a decision that actually wasn't the best for what the person is planning to do. I guess the one other thing I would add is that the tax rules around being a company are certainly more complex than the tax rules for being a sole trader. So I tend to think, if you're not using an accountant and fairly simple business model, if anything, you can start as a sole trader and then progress to a company or partnership down the track. But get good advice, do your research, and ultimately it's the business owner's decision.
And what about for those that are self-employed, Daryl, and earning and their annual income to start with is under 60K? Would it still be worthwhile them registering for GST only, or what would your recommendations be?
Yeah, I have sometimes seen people that are going into business and they do 2 things. They set up a company and they register for GST automatically. That's something I would advise against because, as I said, if people were to set up a company, the tax rules can be quite involved, and registering for GST has its own set of rules and legislation and returns, and that can create quite a bit of work for business owners. So in terms of GST, the legislation, the rules say if you expect your turnover to be over $60,000, then you need to register for GST now based on that expectation, and that's over any 12-month period. So it might be from August now to July next year, could be from January to December, any 12 months. So if that's your expectation, then you will need to register for GST. If you're not sure, then usually my advice is probably wait and just see what happens over the first few months. If you're certainly going to be under $60,000, then it's kind of up to you. Keep in mind that you will have GST returns to file. If you're making money, you're probably going to have GST payments to make, so you need to budget for that. You will need to have an awareness of the GST rules as well. So it does add to, the sort of compliance that you're going to have to deal with. There are also some industries where it's kind of an expected thing that anyone involved there will be GST registered. So one of those is the taxi industry, another is the real estate industry, and generally speaking, anyone in the trades. So $60,000 is the threshold. If you're under that, it is up to you, and it's just thinking about what's involved with being registered, and also whether you're in an industry where it's just part of what everybody does as well.
Thanks, Daryl. And I've got one more question here, and I know that you, I have been really busy with the COVID payments and now implementation of the cost of living payment. For that particular payment, are 16-year-olds in full-time work eligible for that payment? Will they be picked up through the IR taxes that way? Because I know that the eligibility criteria is 18 plus, but just wondered if there was a workaround there for those who are 16 in full-time employment.
Yeah, fair question. Unfortunately, the answer is no. So a person has to be 18 or older and have had their tax assessment done for the previous year, the 2022 year, and have an income of $70,000 or less. So if you're 16, have had an income and had a tax assessment done, unfortunately, because you're not 18, that means you're not eligible for the payment. And my understanding is if you turn 18, say between payment 1 and 2 or 2 and 3 and meet the other conditions, that you then become eligible. But it's an and. So you have to meet all of those conditions, as well as be present in New Zealand and not in prison and not be receiving income support that relates to the winter energy payment eligibility as well. So for 16-year-olds, unfortunately, no.
Well, thanks, Daryl. That's been really informative. Really appreciate your time this afternoon. And yeah, look forward to having a few more questions in regards to the website and some of the webinars and sessions that IR do out there in the public arena. So thanks again, Daryl. Nice to see you. Ka kite anō.
Ka kite Anne.
Thanks very much, Anne. Yes, I just want to add my thanks to Anne. Daryl, it's wonderful to have you along with us this afternoon and sharing your expertise around everything that is the inland revenue. And you know, I know that we've had some feedback in these conferences that it's been really, really helpful for people starting out in business to understand that, you know, their tax obligations and the inland revenue shouldn't be theory. It should be a, you know, that's exactly what you guys are there to do. The community compliance team are there to help and support you through that journey. Just as our team at Connected are, so we've got Anne who's joined us. Anne is based on the West Coast. She's, like we said earlier, an employment liaison advisor for Connected. Connected can be that conduit of support. If you forget everything from this conference and you need at least one point of contact, please head over to Connected and the team there will be able to help you make those required connections, whether that's into somewhere like the IRD or business.gov. Thank you for the mention, Daryl. They are coming up this afternoon at 3 o'clock, I believe. So if you do want to hear more about setting up your organisation as a company or a partnership, or whether you should be a sole trader, join us at the session this afternoon. Digital Boost is here to support all small businesses on their digital transformation journey. We've got a free learning platform. Please head over to digitalboost.co.nz and sign up. There'll be no cost to you at all. And so if you are looking at productivity tools, if you're looking to do a diagnostic on your website, if you want to optimize your digital footprint, there is a whole lot of resources available to you there. We do have a support team available to help you as well. So should you be wanting to execute any of these digital transformation tools and you just need a little extra support there, our support team are waiting to help you. Once again, thank you so much for your patience at the beginning of this session with our technical issues. We really, really appreciate your perseverance. That does bring our session to a close. Thank you again, Anne, for joining me from Connected, and thanks again, Daryl, from the Inland Revenue. We have got employment.govt up next at 2 p.m. 2 p.m. this afternoon. And then, like I said, business.gov at 3 p.m. and the Digital Boost team coming up at 4 o'clock this afternoon. Thank you again for joining us. If you've joined us in the webinar here or via a live stream, it's been a pleasure to host you this afternoon, and I do hope you can make it along to a few more sessions. Have a wonderful afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much.